Hello, everyone. My name is Arnold Kiel Loughman, and I'm the Attorney General of the Republic of Vanuatu. In September 2021, our Prime Minister, the Honorable Bob Loughman Weibur, announced the nation's commitment to seeking an advisory opinion on climate change from the principal judicial organ of the United Nations, the International Court of Justice. Vanuatu is pursuing this course of action because of our nation's extreme vulnerability to climate change and the catastrophic impacts now being felt by our people, our communities, and on our environment. The scientific evidence is overwhelming. With the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Working Group 2 report on climate impacts, quantifying unfathomable climate losses and damages, and the Working Group 3 report on mitigation, which demonstrates expanding emissions. The climate emergency represents an existential crisis for Vanuatu, and our nation can no longer tolerate the climate-related harm resulting from the intentional actions of others. Our livelihoods are being threatened, our traditional identities are being compromised, and our fundamental human rights undermined. The International Court of Justice may entertain two types of cases. These are contentious cases which are legal disputes between states, and the other is requests for advisory opinions on legal questions. The jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice to issue advisory opinions stems from Article 96 of the UN Charter and 65 of its statute. Three conditions must be satisfied for the ICJ to decide on the admissibility of an advisory request. The first is that the request must be made by an authorized agency, instrument, or body within the UN. The second is that the request falls within the scope of the agency or body putting it forward. And finally, it must be a legal question. To the first criteria, the General Assembly is the most legitimate and representative entity of the United Nations, with equal participation from nations. Each country has one vote, and therefore an equal vote is amongst all other nations. Accordingly, during the 77th session of the UN General Assembly, which opens in September 2022, Vanuatu and several co-sponsors will table a resolution to request an advisory opinion on climate change from the ICJ. To succeed, Vanuatu needs a simple majority of votes from member states of the UN, or approximately 97 members. To the second criteria, does climate change fall within the scope of the UN General Assembly? Yes. The UN General Assembly and the Security Council are the only entities within the United Nations with blanket ability to submit a request on any legal question. To the final hurdle, the question must be a legal question. The Office of the Attorney General, in partnership with legal experts, scholars, and practitioners around the world, formed the foundational material of the legal question, which is now undergoing a consultation and negotiation process with the most vulnerable states to polish it and refine it. The legal question is formulated with precise language on the obligations of states under the relevant treaties and under general international law, including critical legal duties of due diligence and principle of prevention of significant harm to human rights and the environment. The ICJ must not confine its advice only to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change or the Paris Agreement. Rather, we seek an advisory opinion that is holistic, acknowledging the links between climate change, human rights, intergenerational equity, and international law. The question asks the ICJ to delineate and make clear the legal obligation of states to prevent harm by adequately reducing the emissions of greenhouse gases. We expect a pronouncement on this nature by the ICJ to influence the behavior of states in relation to the climate ambition. In this instance, the advisory opinion would establish minimum markers for climate negotiation outcomes, reinvigorate nationally determined contributions and commitment, under the Paris Agreement, influence national and sub-national policies from legislation, and accelerate climate action on the ground. Time is not on the side of the most vulnerable of our planet. We urgently need international legal responsibilities to be clear for the sake of us all. There is no other option than to deeply decarbonize our economic systems so that we may all thrive and achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Vanuatu looks forward to your support towards the vote in the General Assembly this year, as this is an initiative of and for all those experiencing the consequences of anthropogenic climate change and those committed to climate justice. Thank you.